This is the TRU Leader Podcast. Today we talk about what to do when you have conflicting work styles with someone you work closely with, and we share the down and dirty of how we have dealt with this ourselves. You won't want to miss this one.
Welcome to the TRU Leader Podcast. I'm Dr. Tracy Christofferson.
And I'm Michelle Trosett.
We are life and business besties, leadership coaches and mentors, and polarity intelligence experts. We're the authors of Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and co-founders of Missing Logic.
We are here to help high-achieving leaders break through leadership norms that cause them suffering at work and home. If you're looking to elevate your leadership, increasing your productivity, effectiveness, and impact, and manage your health and well-being, spend quality time with those you love, and live your best life, then you are in the right place.
Our goal in this podcast is to equip you with new ways of thinking and practical and tactical strategies for succeeding at work and thriving in life. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of personal and professional development so you can reach your full leadership potential, create a life you love, and be what we are calling a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable or true leader.
If you are ready to learn and laugh a little, let's get started.
Welcome to the TRU Leader Podcast. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're happy to be here. How many times have we said that? I think if we could get paid for every time we said we were happy to be here, let's see, times 5 years.
We could retire.
We could. We could stop doing this, right? Oh, we love it, folks. We love it. We love it. We love it. Fills our souls.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's great. We're happy to be here. Always, always, always.
Mm-hmm. And those of you, probably know we batch. So we've been in our studio all day today.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We have talking about a lot of different things that you're going to get to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about work style alignment.
Ooh.
Really recognizing we all have our own style and how do we align it?
Oh, yeah, we do.
We're experts on this.
Oh, yes. You're going to find out just how expert we are on this particular topic, right? Well, I think it's, aligned to what? Like aligned to each other, right? Like when you work with somebody else, you really have to pay attention to the work styles and make sure that you can align the different approaches that you take to your work or your different preferences for how you work and ways that you work. And so it's really aligning with each other. And we're opposites, so it's really fun.
It is.
It's a great opportunity for growth and development.
Well, we both have a lot of experience in working with teams and businesses and organizations, and certainly now running Missing Logic, our alignment with team members. So yeah, we're going to share what we know about this topic. And it's really important right now with leaders because there's a lot of change. And so there's a lot of alignment and realignment that leaders are having to do when it comes to the teams and the people that they're working with. And it's really important to establish that foundational relationship. And there's also a lot of dyad relationships like what Tracy and I have. So style match and style alignment is really important. And then it's important that we align our goals. I mean, that's just really obvious, right? We have to align our goals, our objectives, and our timelines, roles and responsibilities. There's just a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration when it comes to relationships in the workplace. And also, the other trend that we see is that a lot of organizations are using tools to help them identify how to do really good alignment. So tools such as StrengthFinders, Enneagram, the DISC, to really help understand the personalities underneath it all. So how can we have better alignment?
Yeah. How can we? That's the key question here, folks. How can we? Because I do think we tend to focus on what's obvious, like you said, the responsibilities, the roles, the different tasks, the different, right? But when it comes to personalities and preferences and just, work styles, that's not as obvious. So I think it's really great that organizations are really starting to pay more attention to that. And some do it a little bit more than others. So we'll talk about that. I think, of course, we're going to talk about the leadership norms because we're all about busting through those things that don't help us, right? Those beliefs, those behaviors that are just kind of ingrained in us, but we live them unconsciously without even awareness to it. And I think one of them has just been really, as leaders and individuals, we tend to focus on our own personal growth, right? So it's all about me, the skills I'm developing, getting to kind of, know my strengths, what I like to do, what my preferences are, what my goals are, my purpose, all about me, right? And getting to know myself, right? So that I can grow and evolve and develop as a leader. And I think that's just kind of been a norm where it's just we kind of do our own personal growth. We're not so much thinking about the other person's personal growth as much as we're thinking about our own. And then the other is, another way and kind of another norm is kind of like the teamwork, right? And the norming, storming, forming, all that, right? And Tuckman's model for teamwork. And we focus on those different phases of teamwork. And of course, there's that storming part of the team where you're really kind of trying to come together. And it is the tension around the different perspectives, points of views, ways of working. And sometimes we can fall victim to that and say, well, we just like oil and water. We don't get along. We don't even see the same thing eye to eye. Like it's just never going to work, right? We can kind of draw a barrier with each other. Or we tend to, in the storming phase, when you're thinking about that, is use conflict management because this is conflict, right? But what we have come to know and learn, and which is a new norm, is to see this as just a natural tension that's going to exist between individuals that have differing perspectives. And when those perspectives are interdependent, this is not a tension that you have to, find a solution to resolve. You don't have to use conflict management. It's really about digging deeper into understanding the perspectives that each other holds because, right, we all come from a different, with different lenses, and having those different lenses is really important to see a complete picture. So I think, one of the newer norms that we would be interested in is really seeing things in a more complete way. And when tension does arise, really seeing it as an opportunity for growth and development together to say, okay, tell me more about your perspective and what's informed that perspective, and, inquire around that. And what worries you about my perspective, right? It's really kind of just learning from each other. And it may not be any big, deep fears or experiences. It could just be they're not familiar. It's just not where they naturally stand, right? And so it doesn't mean that they can't be open to it. But again, it's just kind of trying some different ways to be together and have it be more of a both and than an either or. It's either my perspective or your perspective, and that kind of tug of war piece. And I think that's just a step in knowing others and really understanding what's informed them, what experiences have they had, how do they come to believe what they believe, while you also know yourself. So it's the both and of know thyself and know others, and not just know them, but really think about how can I work with that? How can I support that preference, support that style? And it doesn't mean I have to give up mine. It's just how can I be more supportive of that person leaning into who they are and what they bring to the team. And then just, again, just recognizing not every tension is a conflict that you have to resolve, that you can just, the tension's okay. Sometimes you just need to leverage the tension. It's there to catapult you forward. I always think about a bow and arrow. Tension's like the tension in the bow and the arrow, right? And the arrow's not going anywhere without that tension to catapult it forward. So tension really can help us, when we leverage it, reach that greater purpose that we might not reach independently. So.
And I always think of it like a dance.
Of course, because we're very different.
I do. I think it's about you and the other, right? And it's about both of you. And it's to really understand how people lead and how people follow and how you do that dance. So that's really great. So one of the things that, as we mentioned earlier, organizations are finding different ways and methodologies to help their teams know each other more, kind of get in under the obvious, and so there's different tools that they use, and that we also have recognized that sometimes they use these tools, but they don't necessarily integrate them into their practice or their daily activities. So that's another important piece we want to bring forward. It's one thing to learn about them, it's another thing to apply them. But there are tools that we have used, that others have used, that have been helpful. So we just wanted to do a summary of those that are all style-based. And the first one is strength-based leadership. Of course, this was developed by Gallup, and it's research-based, which is one of the reasons we really like it. And when you really understand each other's strengths, it really helps you thrive as a team. You understand everyone's full capability. From a leader perspective, you understand which of the domains they actually are executing their strengths through, which is very helpful. And it helps, when you know that, it helps you put the right people on the right committees. It helps you pair people up because they have different strengths that can really help get a certain project off the ground or work done. So that's an extremely valuable tool. And what we've learned is it depends. Some organizations have used it, some it's new. We've worked with different management teams. We just introduced it to a management team where it was new to a lot of them, and it was really enlightening. Like they didn't really realize their own strengths, but then it started to make sense of, oh, that's why I don't really understand people that have this strength, especially when it came to their work, of why they struggled with other people on the team, and the appreciation of knowing who to tap into at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think they might have recognized it in somebody else, a strength in somebody else, but didn't know what it really was, you know? They just know that that's kind of their go-to person for these different things. And I think that that's, you know, it also is about having the right people in the right seats.
Yeah.
So understanding strengths can really be about, do you have the right people, not only on the team, but do you have the right people doing the right things? Because if it's not your strength to do that, it doesn't mean that you don't have any capacity to do it. It just means it's not at the top of your strengths, right?
Exactly.
But it does help when you're thinking about who should be doing what and how do we tap into everybody on the team. Yeah, I think that's really important.
Another one is the DISC, and this just identifies work style, preferences, and it determines how someone would interact with others, and also it helps you identify how they're going to perform under stress. So being aware of your DISC style is another tool to get to know people's styles and how they show up in the workplace. And then the Enneagram is another tool that Tracy and I have talked about that before on the podcast. And this is really a way to help you understand how you interact with others, and teaches a new way to understand how you can be in healthy relationship by knowing each other's Enneagram style and how to show up when someone's style is different than yours. And it helps you have compassion, understanding, and just brings a lot of insight into why people are the way they are. And in the Enneagram, they happen to have different numbers. And once you know them, then it's like, oh, okay, that really makes a lot of sense. And you also know how to leverage those relationships as well.
It's the most complex.
It is.
Out of any of them, I think. That one is so complex.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a bit to know it and to learn it, you know, but it is. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of wings and different things, right? But it's helpful. It's helpful, but it is probably one of the more complex out of all of the personality and tools.
Yeah. And then we wanted to highlight that in his recent book, Patrick Lencioni, I think that's how you say his name, he wrote the book, The 6 Types of Working Genius, a better way to understand your gifts, your frustrations, and your team. So again, a lot of alignment here. But he starts out his book by saying there's 2 undeniable truths. 1, people who utilize their natural God-given talents are much more fulfilled and successful than those who don't. And 2, teams and organizations that help people tap into their God-given talents are much more successful and productive than those that don't. So again, what is that natural talent, that natural way you're just wired? And if you can tap into that, if you can know others, know yourself, and tap into others, it makes a big difference on and actually can help you become a working genius. So now Tracy and I, our story is we have worked together for a lot of years, many, many years. And we've worked in a lot of different capacities. And it's a lot different when you work together than when you also own a business together. Now we're stepping into like a marriage relationship.
Yeah, it's like a marriage.
It's like a marriage.
Yeah.
And so we've used these tools as well to really understand each other, to honor each of our strengths and honor the strengths of the other person. It really helps. And then when it comes to the polarities, we also have adapted those as the values in our company. So we have different preference poles. So when we look at the polarities of running our business, such as individual, team, mission and margin, productivity, relationships, candor and diplomacy, personal life and professional life, we also look at how each of us can bring our preference poles and honor them, but also appreciate what the other person's preference pole is as well and look at it through that lens. And it's really, really helpful to come from that perspective.
Yeah. And we were very intentional in how we set up our company in that way because we know the importance of this. But I just think we had some really key realizations in our journey about how different we were. Like we worked together, but we didn't work together in this way, in this intense way. And I think, that's where it really became clear what our differences were as far as our preference poles and our working styles. And it took a while, you guys. Like, it wasn't like it just was clear. I mean, we knew our differences as far as the Enneagram. And we were aware of it. But how it was playing out in the work that we were doing on a day-to-day basis was a whole nother story. And because we were stepping into roles we'd never had before, things that we never had to do before, that brought with it stress and just change. And so, you tend to hang on tighter to the things that you're comfortable with when you're moving through something that's a whole new terrain, and then you're trying to do it with somebody who is opposite of you, but also, you have a different relationship and that you have had a 40-year friendship, right? So been a lot of layers to what we've been working through in this regard over the years. And even though I think we had a high valuing for it, we weren't always aware of how it was showing up in what we were doing, right? And so I think there were a lot of times, where we experienced a lot of tension and didn't even recognize that tension, I think, as a polarity tension, but just that there was tension, right? And we kept trying to work through this tension, right? And trying to figure out what this was. And I think it too was finally kind of recognizing, well, wait a minute. This isn't just about how you're wired or how I'm wired. This is also about our preference poles and the polarities and what we need to do differently to lean in a little bit because we reached points where we were leaning away and hanging on tighter. And we both recognized we need to lean in a little bit more, right? And just to work together and to work through it. And thank God we know about these things. We can leverage them and leverage the polarities because that's made all the difference for us as we've kind of been on this journey of really leveraging these tools and understanding each other more.
Yeah, well, I think it's a gift, really, because it's taking us to a higher level of understanding it and how to really navigate it for alignment and for staying the course for our true purpose and be really candid and honest about it. So it's been a gift.
Yeah, oh, it is. It is a gift. And I'm just smiling because that's who she is. Oh, it's all a gift, and it's about, and I'm on the productivity side, folks. Remember, productivity relationship. So where this is really, so I just want to bring this forth because if your preference pole is not relationships, this is a little bit more of a growth opportunity for you because this is where she lives and she loves, right? This just makes her like flourish, which is awesome. And it isn't for me. It doesn't, right? It's not that I don't value relationships, that I don't care about this. I certainly do. But when it comes to running the business, my perspective is on the things that have to get done to make the revenue, to do the things, right? So that's where I live. And that doesn't necessarily make her comfortable, right? So, of course,
have you done this? Have you done that? Did you get that done? Have you called this person?
Yeah. can we just turn the camera around so they can see me a little better? Right? I mean, we got all the things. And so, we have learned to just acknowledge that and appreciate that about each other, and just know that without each of us, we wouldn't be where we're going, right? We wouldn't get where we want to go, because there'd be too much of the relationship and not enough of the productivity, or too much of the productivity and not enough of the relationship. We have to have each other. We have to lean into each other's strengths to get where we want to go. So we've just really are learning, even every day this comes up.
Every day.
It's not like there's, like we've got it all figured out. We know the tools. That's the thing. We use the tools, and we use our intentions and all our principles and everything every single day to have a flourishing, thriving relationship with each other. And there's lots of polarities at play, but there are some really key ones. And we actually even had to just kind of step back and have dialogue about our preferences and where our preferences come from and what we're experiencing and what we feel, and what the drivers are, and really do our own reflections of, why am I hanging on so tight to my pull? What is the challenge for me in leaning in a little bit more on the other pull? And how can I do that? Like, how can I actively, intentionally lean in more, right? And the pulls that are her preferences, and how can she lean in more on the pulls that are my preferences? And we had to step back and even redo our whole individual and team polarity map that we had, right? Because it was like the space we were in, we needed to step back and just rethink what really are the outcomes we want from working individually and as a team. What are the action steps we can take? How can we approach this differently to get more energy, to leverage the energy between the two, and to get closer to that greater purpose and outcome that we're looking for with that? Yeah. And I think too, the other thing we've learned a lot about each other is we filter different. So when you have a different preference and you lean in that preference pull, everything you look at, you filter through that lens. And so we've even noticed when we're on phone calls, I come away from a phone call with a whole different perspective than what she comes away with. So it's almost comical. We almost have to laugh, right? And we'd probably cry if we didn't. But it's like, I didn't hear that at all. How did you get that out of that, right? So it's just kind of funny.
Or when we do share, one of us says, of course you did.
Yeah, of course you thought that way. Of course you feel that way.
Of course,
right?
that was your perspective.
Yeah. Because without that understanding, it would be a tension, right? It would be like, are you even on the same call I'm on? Right. And so, and when we're preparing for calls, Michelle's all about, let's connect with them and get to know what they're doing and who they are and what's up for them. And I'm all about, what is the agenda? What's the objective of the call? So again, it takes both of us, right, to get the outcome from whatever it is that we're doing.
It does.
And then, but at the bottom line is we respect each other unconditionally and conditionally, right? Like, that is the cornerstone, that and just, who we are, what we know we bring, the strengths that we have. And it's just this constant, journey and development and evolution. And our relationships get stronger and stronger as we move through each of these challenges and recognize what we're facing. And so we're just like, look at this as like, we're the live experiment for every other dyad leadership out there. We have quite the story to tell.
It'll be our next book.
It will be. Yeah.
Well, again, it's a dance, and you just are constantly learning how to do that. She's smiling again. This is just an amazing dance.
It's all about flow and dancing. And I think the other thing is, but there are some things where we are quite similar, where our preference is the same. And that puts us actually at risk. And we've kind of recognized that, especially when it comes to candor and diplomacy. Because, early on in our partnership, we were both heavily preferenced to diplomacy. So there were a lot of things we just wouldn't say to each other, right? or say, maybe we said them too lightly, or we weren't as pointed as we needed to be, or as clear and concise as we needed to be about the point we were trying to get across, or what we needed to share, whatever it was. And so we've recognized we can't be that. We can't do that. We both have to step up in the candor, because we have to be able to say what we need to say respectfully, but we needed to say it more, and we needed to be clear about what our message was with each other and what we needed from each other, and be more candid about that. And that's really helped a lot.
That's helped a lot.
Because we were kind of sitting in the downside of diplomacy. And so we have to always be vigilant and always be monitoring. And you guys, we know these things, right? And sometimes it creeps up on you. So if you're not vigilant about it, then you're going to end up in the downside, right? So we just continually rework our maps. We keep thinking about, what it is that we need to pay attention to, and just recognize where we're at, and just laugh a lot.
Well, it never goes away, right? Never goes away.
Nope.
So one of the other tools that we put into place that has really, really helped us a lot, and it's a tool that we've used in the past, but I think we've taken it much more seriously, and it is the Healthy Relationship Partnership Agreement tool. And so this is a cornerstone in our relationship as co-founders of Missing Logic, and it is very helpful of just being on the same page. And we do this every quarter, because if you look at the one we did at the very beginning, it'd be very different from the one today, because the business is changing, the world is changing, we're changing, our families are changing. And so we just touch base on using that tool. And so that is one way that we stay in alignment. And we do that. We have really good dialogue whenever we do that as well. We have a lot of self-reflection time, but then we have an opportunity to really check in where we are in our partnership leveraging that tool. And, I can't imagine not using it.
Yeah, so I do. I think it's a tool that we're using all the time, and we use it better every time we use it.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to have the space to have the depth of conversation. And I just want to point out too, I think as this kind of our differences became clearer and clearer and clearer, I think that one of the last times we did the partnership agreement was so funny, because I'm looking at it, I'm going, I am asking her to be everything I am, and she's asking me to be everything she is. And it was so funny. I'm like, everything I'm asking of you that I need from you is all about the things that are my preference poles. And the opposite was for her. So it was really, again, you can use this tool 95 times and still learn and grow and evolve and get insights from what it's bringing forth and how you're thinking, right? It brings forth your thinking and your preferences. And I think it's been a really great tool, and it's really helped us to set the guardrails of our relationship, and, help us to stay in step with each other instead of in tension with each other.
Yeah. And we have encouraged and continue to encourage other leaders to use it. It's very, very valuable when it comes to your own desire to be in alignment, if you're in a dyad relationship or with your team as well. Yeah. The other thing that Trace and I practice is being polarity intelligent. So obviously we wrote the book on it. It's right here if you're looking at YouTube. And there are principles within polarity intelligence of, having that polarity mindset and practicing healthy relationships, being in healthy relationships together, and engaging in meaningful dialogue every day. So we really leverage those principles every day. We consider ourselves in the work that we do as we are a practice field, and it's really important that we live them and we practice them and we are role models for them every day. Mm-hmm. So that certainly helps with our growth and our alignment with each other.
Yeah, and I think that a big thing is it's not ever about arriving, folks.
No.
It's never about arriving, because there's always something in your world that's changing, something that you adjust to, ways that you are growing and evolving. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just creating the space and the respect for everybody's on their own journey and growing and evolving. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's just really, that's where those principles can really support us and help us to be, the best that we can be in the moment.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then the other thing that we practice is same page meetings. So we have a same page meeting every month, and usually it's just a dialogue. It's kind of like a deep dive dialogue on maybe just what's most important at the time. What do we really need to talk about? We need to revisit where we are with our goals, yes, but it's just making sure that we are on the same page, gives us a chance to look at our priorities again, to reprioritize together if we need to, and then just really leave that meeting knowing that, hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
We make decisions in those meetings sometimes if we have
Yeah.
to shift anything.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just being together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just connecting
Mhm.
outside of everything that needs to happen and just, checking in with each other.
Yeah.
And we check in every day, but, it just gives us an opportunity for a deeper check-in to make sure that, we are still aligned in the direction we want to go and the things that are important, the priorities and all of that. And I think that's really important. And I think we just continue to deepen our understanding and our knowledge around who we are, how we're growing, how we're evolving. It's an opportunity for us to share with each other just new insights we've had about ourselves, things that are happening that are shaping us, apologize if we need to. That kind of stuff. That's the stuff that we do, right? And it's important. It's important to have that time to do that. Sometimes you just get so caught up in the agenda, the business, the things that you need to do as a dyad or the projects or, again, you get into the doing. And I think the same page meeting is an opportunity to just be together for a little bit and just connect at the human level, revisit your shared purpose and just, bring up anything that needs to be talked about, and just have a chance to be together. And I think one of the other things that we recognize too is, it's like being family and running a business together. We're not blood family, but we might as well be. It's like a marriage. And so we have to have time for our relationship outside of our business relationship too. And it was really, really important. And so that we can be together as people, not just as business partners. And I think that's been another big realization. We have to cultivate both types of relationships.
We do.
We have to cultivate who we are as a dynamic duo, business, TRU Leader Podcast co-hosts and owners of a business and authors of a book. And Michelle and Tracy, just who we are with our families and the things that matter most to us in our lives and our personal lives and just supporting each other in all those ways too, right? So it is, it's both. And I think that's, not everybody has that same kind of relationship that we have where it's multi-level like that, but still you're human beings, right? At the end of the day, there's a human relationship and a business relationship and both are equally important.
Right.
Right. And I think that's all we have to say about that.
Get out the tissues. Oh.
Well,
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, it's it's been a really interesting journey, and I think we've both grown and evolved in the
oh yes,
course of it. I know there's more to come. And we went through some really tense periods. And it feels good to be kind of, on the other side of that. I'm sure there'll be some more. There always is,
always
right?
will be.
Everything happens, everything's up and down. We doing our best to leverage the polarities to keep, leveraging the tension between us so that it is, moving us towards our goals. And I just, I think that the partnership agreement tool is a key tool that really helps us to stay connected to each other, clear on what we need from each other. And we are making that available to you as leaders, whether you use it in a dyad or other, one-on-one relationship. It's a really key tool. It is designed to support you to establish, to sustain an effective, healthy, really transformational relationship. And it gives you the ability to communicate your needs and expectations and to hear the expectations and needs of others and to gain that clarity on how you can be a good partner, whether it's a marriage, a business, a dyad in a large organization. It doesn't matter. It can even be a parent and a child, as well, right? Anybody that you are in a significant relationship with, you can use this tool for it. We're making that available to you. It's in a link in the show notes. And we just, want to encourage you to download that. It's free. And download it and use it, apply it, and see what it can do for you. And, I think the other thing, we just had a little question too that we thought we'd pose to you, right? Which is, what has been your most significant challenge in establishing healthy transformational relationships with somebody important in your work, either at work and home? And just share that with us. We just really would like to know what your challenges are, if there's more tools or processes that we can offer, ways that we can support you as leaders, and we really want to do that. So you can put your comments on our YouTube channel if you want to, or you can even just email them to us if you don't want them to be public, and you can email us at questions@missinglogic.com. We go through those every week, and we'll keep an eye open for that. And then, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to really support you.
Mm-hmm.
So, let us know what you need. And let us know also if you use the tool and it really helps you with a challenging relationship. Let us know that too. We'd love to hear from you. So I think with that, we're going to close for today.
We are.
We just want to say how much we do appreciate you as our listeners. We just, there goes the love, right? Like,
I'm blowing a kiss.
And I love you
to
too.
the camera.
And I love you too. So, we do really appreciate you listening. And we hope you got value out of today. And if you did, please share this with your peers, other people. We're here for you, and we just want to grow the messages that we have to give, and to grow those that are listening to that. And so we appreciate any support you can offer in sharing our podcast with others. We have gotten great feedback that it's valuable, so worth sharing.
Yeah.
And, subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel or on whatever podcast platform is your favorite, where you listen to your podcasts most often. And, if you prefer the video, we are out there on YouTube, and we do look pretty darn good. So, check us out. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll be on the airwaves with you soon. Did you know many of the ongoing micro stressors you experience come from the pressures put on you from the people closest to you? As part of a leadership team, each member brings unique skills and perspectives to the table. However, despite your sense of shared goals, conflicts arise, misunderstandings occur, and trust can waver, and that's on a good day. So how do you navigate these challenges, reduce stress, and ensure that your relationships remain strong and effective? Well, the best way is to use a tool that fosters collaboration, communication, and mitigates conflict before it even happens. A tool that clarifies expectations, outlines responsibilities, and establishes guidelines for addressing issues immediately. Well, we have just the tool for you. The Partnership Agreement Tool is the most effective tool for establishing and maintaining your most important relationships. From routine check-ins to progress tracking and conflict resolution, this tool supports you every step of the way. Imagine the impact of having clear expectations, open communication, and a shared vision guiding your relationships with the Partnership Agreement Tool. That vision can become a reality. So whether you're embarking on a new relationship or looking to enhance an existing one, consider incorporating the Partnership Agreement Tool into your leadership toolkit. Click the link in the show notes today and download a free copy of the Partnership Agreement Tool so you can start fostering healthier, more effective relationships with your team and peers.